Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 263 based on novel. So let's start. Compared with the outside world, there is a unique cave in the cave. There is a shallow ditch on both sides of the corridor. The water flows out from the inside to the outside, but disappears at the end of the ditch and disappears into a deeper rock wall. According to the ancestor of Burning the Sky, this ditch is naturally formed. It has existed since he found it and has not been cut off for many years. The ancestor of Burning the Sky took the clear and active water in the ditch as the lifeblood of Burning the Valley. He firmly believed that Burning the Valley would not fall if the water was still flowing. For this sustenance, Xiao Yan just smiled non-committally. Although he can't believe it, people always have to think about it. This is good. When you go deep into the cave, you can see that there are glittering and translucent colors on the 4 rock walls in the cave. The gorgeous light is not shining, but lingers on the rock walls and air in the cave, and the water flow around the cave is endowed with a layer of treasure light. Strange lights set off each other between the rock walls. Gradually, there were root stalagmites in their eyes, some rising from the ground and some hanging from the dome. At first glance, they looked like a huge skull with a mouth full of fangs, which was quite frightening. A few minutes later, they finally came to the depths of the cave. There were groups of stalagmites everywhere, but it seemed as if they consciously left a passage through the middle. Some stalagmites were connected up and down to form a stalagmite with strange shape, on which water droplets slipped from time to time. The same was true for the surrounding stalagmites. After all the water droplets dropped, it converges into a circular pool in the center of the cave, and the pool water flows along the ditch to the periphery of the cave. In the center of the pool, there is a pyramid-shaped stalactite, with a circular groove several inches long and wide at the top. From the shallow marks on it, it can be seen that there should have been liquid in the groove. It is not difficult to imagine that what was previously contained in it should be geocentric body milk. Unfortunately, it has been taken all the year round, and now it has completely dried up. Looking up, there is another huge stalagmite on the top of the stalactite. Its top is facing the center of the lower groove. From the milky water flow traces on it, it can be seen that the geocentric body milk condenses and then drops down. It gathers all year round, and then it gathers into that shallow depression. But now, stalagmites and stalactites dry up from top to bottom, and the geocentric body milk cannot condense, so everything naturally becomes less special. What can Xiao Yan see? The ancestor of Burning the Sky has repeatedly explored the cave several times, but he still has no fruit. At the moment, naturally, he doesn't have to look at anything more, but directly focuses on Xiao Yan. Now, he can only rely on Xiao Yan to help them find the so-called inner earth milk pulp. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yan didn't respond, but kept turning his eyes and scanning the stalagmite on the top. To tell the truth, although he had seen the geocentric milk pulp in ancient books, he didn't know where it existed. This was also the first time for Xiao Yan. Therefore, he must be careful. However, even if Xiao Yan's eyesight was excellent, after several surveys, there was still no result. The stalagmites were all normal. Not only there was no sign of damage, but also no liquid exudation. Everything in the cave was particularly normal. But in that case, where is the milk pulp of the Earth's heart? Is it really just a casual mention in ancient books, which is difficult to find in the world? Xiao Yan doesn't believe that the stalactites here have not been affected by any external force, and the environment in the cave has been completely preserved by the burning ancestor. There can be no accident. It is reasonable to say that the geocentric milk pulp should be here, but why is this? The geocentric milk pulp that should have existed is not seen at all. Impossible. After biting his teeth, Xiao Yan jumped and came to the dome. Laro Zhu hurriedly followed him and observed carefully. Then Xiao Yan took out a jade bottle from Naji, condensed it into a jade needle with the help of different fire, and immediately stabbed it into the stalagmite. Things like this kind of heaven and earth can only be touched with jade if they don't affect their foundation. If it's the same as Xiao Yan's expectation, the jade needle will flow out of the Earth's core milk pulp. If so, however, the development of things is often contrary to his will. After Xiao Yang pulled the jade needle out of the stalagmite, he only left an inch-deep hole in the stalagmite, and nothing happened. The expected liquid did not appear, and any energy breath did not reveal. There was nothing in the stalagmite. The appearance of this result immediately made Xiao Yang's mood become nervous. Since the stalagmite has no shape, it also shows that the milk pulp of the Earth's core does not exist at all. In this way, did he go to the burning valley in vain? What about Liana? With this in mind, Xiao Yang's eyebrows immediately frowned, and his temples broke out in a cold sweat because of the tension of his emotions. The burning father also frowned. They were silent and thought about the reasons. Xiao Yang's eyes turned sharply. In his heart, he kept thinking about where the milk pulp of the Earth's core might exist. In the whole cave, is it a stalagmite, a stone wall, or the pool underwater? As soon as he thought of these, Xiao Yang immediately refuted his answer. The milk pulp of the Earth's heart is condensed by the power of heaven and earth. It doesn't even exist in the stalagmite, and it won't exist in the stone wall. As for under the pool, the depth of the whole pool water is only a few inches, and there are hard rocks under the pool water. Only the upper part is stalactite, which is very different and impossible. But in that case, where is the milk pulp of the Earth's heart? The cave is so large in total. The geocentric body milk is also condensed on the stalagmite. How can the geocentric milk pulp not be here? Looking at the cave, in addition to the stalagmite condensed into geocentric body milk, where can the geocentric milk pulp be contained? It can't drop like the geocentric body milk. Drip. When the thought flashed in his mind, Xiao Yang's eyes suddenly coagulated, and his face suddenly changed. At the same time, his heart seemed to think of something. In the worried eyes of burning the sky, he suddenly lowered his head and looked straight at the huge stalactite below. Looking from top to bottom, at this moment, in the pit of the stalactite, circles of milky white stains spread like lotus, and its size and area account for only about half of the groove. On the whole stalactite, the most different is this small milky white area. When Xiao Yang came down and looked carefully, he found more clearly that there seemed to be a thin layer of cutin on the milky white watermark. Perhaps it was due to the accumulation of geocentric body milk for many years that such a layer was left. However, through this layer of cutin, Xiao Yang also found again that there seemed to be no improper milky white under the cutin, it was moving slowly. In other words, there are other magical things in this stalactite. And such a thing, according to Xiao Yang, 9 times out of 10, is what he is looking for. Geocentric milk pulp. At this moment, Xiao Yang's impatience was immediately suppressed by excitement and took a deep breath. The burning old ancestor on one side followed closely and held his breath. Their eyes gathered in the groove. Xiao Yang approached the cutin carefully with the help of the jade needle in his hand. Then, he moved cautiously and slowly to provoke it gently. Indeed, this layer of cutin is like a duckweed floating gently on the water. It is easily provoked by the jade needle. At the same time, the next layer of shallow milky white liquid also comes into their eyes. This is the milk pulp of the Earth's heart. Although never seen, but with the eyesight of these two people, is it natural that the baby can see that, plus the purpose of their trip is the Earth's core milk marrow. At the moment, of course, there is no doubt that this milky white lotion is impressively creamy. Who could have thought that such a precious treasure as the milk pulp of the Earth's core was not hidden in any stalactite, but was placed in front of them like this? There was no cover-up except the thin layer of cutin. Who could have thought that there were more precious treasures under the seemingly dried-up groove? If not for this, Xiao Yang came to burn the secret of the milk marrow of the Earth's heart in the burning valley, I'm afraid he would continue to hide it. They stood in front of the stalactite, staring at the milky white viscous liquid in the groove with a little aura in their eyes. The liquid is under the groove, and the layer of cutin on it separates it from the geocentric body milk. Now I think that the existence of the geocentric body milk is like a cover to hide the real baby. In this way, even if outsiders find and take away the geocentric body milk, the geocentric milk pulp can still be safe, which is probably the means of nature. Although the milk marrow of the Earth's core was found, it was found after a simple survey by the burning father that the milk marrow of the Earth's core was pitifully small, only half a bowl. Of course, This amount was enough for a person or a small detachment, but it was too bad for a sect. Nevertheless, for Xiao Yang, who helped him find the milk marrow of the Earth's core, the ancestor of burning the sky generously handed over 1/3 of them to the latter. According to his words, Xiao Yang helped him find the milk marrow of the Earth's core. Even if he did him a great favor, he deserved it, but due to the identity of the former, Xiao Yang still took out 10 5,000-year-old thousand fan leaves from Naji and presented them to the burning father. 10,000 leaves, 5,000 years, of which the value is naturally incalculable. Although it is less than the geocentric milk pulp obtained by Xiao Yang, it also surprised the burning father. He didn't expect that Xiao Yang looks young, but there are really many treasures in his hand. He even has the impulse to take out some geocentric milk pulp to exchange more thousand leaves. Of course, the idea belongs to the idea. The weight of geocentric milk pulp is limited. He also expects these geocentric milk pulp to create more talents for him to burn Yengu. Naturally, he can't act excitedly for the temporary pleasure in his heart. Xiao Yang's purpose of burning Yang Valley was achieved when he got the milk marrow of the Earth's heart. With this thing, Liana's misfortune poison body can be suppressed. In this way, combined with the means of Xiao Yishen, it should not be difficult to help him completely control the misfortune poison body. In addition, the remaining amount is enough for him to share with Bai Hua and others. This is also a big opportunity, so next, he should prepare and go to find Yi Honglian. After looking at the milky white jade bottle in his hand, Xiao Yang smiled with satisfaction. Then, after thanking the father of burning the sky, they were happy to go outside the cave. But at this time, Xiao Yang's body, Xiao Xian's voice came suddenly. Wait a minute. At the moment of hearing Xiao Xian's voice, Xiao Yang turned back and suddenly paused. He was surprised why Xiao Xian would make a sound at this time. There's another thing in the cave. Go and have a look. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yang suddenly turned around, and a pair of dark eyes suddenly looked deeper into the cave. In the stalactite behind the stalagmite group, there is indeed a path that can lead to the deep. That's where Xiao Xian pointed. At this time, the burning father turned around with curiosity. His old eyes fell on Xiao Yang. His eyes were somewhat suspicious. Did Xiao Yang find any treasure hidden in the cave? While burning the sky, Laro Zhu was curious. Xiao Yang stepped forward and quickly walked towards the depths of the cave. Later, burning the sky, Laro Zhu also hurriedly followed. Soon, the two men came to the depths of the cave. The deepest part of the cave is a dead end, surrounded by rugged mountain walls, which are embedded with fluorescent pearls everywhere, making this area particularly bright. At the moment, in front of Xiao Yang, a pair of white bones as bright as jade are sitting against the mountain wall. Although he has been dead for many years, he can still feel a faint threat. It can be seen that he must be a strong man when he was alive. Almost at the first sight when Xiao Yang saw this pair of bones, Xiao Xian's heart in his body also aroused thousands of waves at this time. At the same time, Xiao Yang's heart was deeply shocked by the latter's emotion. How can Xiao Xian, whose normal state of mind is particularly stable and difficult to be affected by anything, show such emotion because of a pair of bones? Why, are you interested in this bone? One side, the burning old ancestor who followed him looked at the bones in front of his eyes. A pair of old eyes showed a disappointed look. Then he put his eyes on Xiao Yang and asked in doubt. Master, this skeleton is an old friend of my husband. He is my only friend in the world. A friend, like a brother. Referring to the identity of the skeleton, the old man couldn't help but look a little sorry and sad in his weathered eyes. However, he immediately looked at Xiao Yang and continued. By the way, my friend is the same as Xiao Yang's little friend. His last name is Xiao. Buzz. As soon as the voice fell, a strong breath swept out of Xiao Yang's body and turned into an invisible energy storm, which quickly spread out in the depths of the cave. At the same time, Xiao Yang's face changed. The old ancestor's eyebrows burned, the sky on one side wrinkled, and the inexplicable sense of familiarity in his heart surged up again, and the anger that should have risen dissipated. Instead, he stared suspiciously at the void in front of him. A slightly illusory figure was quietly appearing. It's Xiao Xian. While Xiao Xian appeared, Xiao Yang and the Burning Father were also extremely surprised to find that the former was actually kneeling in front of the skeleton and in a pair of calm eyes. At this time, it was already red, and the inner emotion could not be calmed like the raging sea. Then, in the eyes of the two people, Xiao Xian slowly bent over and buttoned his head. At the same time, the voice of apology came out. Xiao Xian, an unworthy child, worshipped his father. Xiao Xian. Hearing the words from the mouth of the illusory figure in front of him, the father of Burning the Sky looked stunned at first. At the same time, the deep memory in his mind was deeply touched at this moment. That layer of memory that does not belong to the world was rediscovered in his mind, familiar names, deep outlines in his mind, once figures and events, it reappeared in his mind. Rao is looking at it now, everything seems like yesterday. Xiao Xian. Xiao Chen. Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian. You are Xiao Xian, the son of Xiao Yao. For a long time, the father of Burning the Sky suddenly raised his turbid old eyes full of shock and excitement, and stared at Xiao Xian kneeling in front of him. His whole body trembled violently at this moment. He couldn't believe that the people who had been buried in his memory and thought it impossible to remember in this life would appear in front of him again. It was like a dream. Younger generation Xiao Xian, I've seen the Burning Father for thousands of years. It's Xiao Xian's luck to see that the elder's body is still strong. Finally, Xiao Xian gradually recovered from his excitement, turned around and knelt down heavily to the Burning Father in front of him. He did not hesitate to give a worship ceremony. All the emotions in his heart were written on his face at this time. Xiao Yang on one side dared not neglect it at all. His ancestors knelt down, and of course he kowtowed back and forth. This time, seeing that the Burning Father was at a loss, he quickly helped them up with his hands. After confirming that all this was not a fantasy, the stone at the bottom of his heart fell down. At the same time, I can't help but feel shocked by the identity of the two people in front of me. Are you really from? The younger generation came from the mainland. Before the words in the mouth of Xiaotian's father fell, Xiao Xian explained his identity with Xiao Yang, and didn't hide it at all, because when he saw his father's remains, he knew very well in his heart that his original good friend of the Xiao family had not changed his mind. In this way, Xiao Yang and Xiao Xian have another friend from the same hometown in this distant continent. Although they have no blood relationship with each other, this friendship makes their relationship become extremely strong in an instant. From now on, Xiao Yang is another person who can really rely on in this Yuanwu continent. As the relationship progressed, there were naturally more words between the two sides. In this cave, Xiao Yang gave a general idea of what they knew about the situation of the angry mainland and the process of coming here. Although there were many fewer twists and turns, the tension in their hearts could be seen from the frown of the Burning Father, especially when the latter heard that today's Burning Valley had become a second-rate force in the mainland. There was an indelible look of sadness in his muddy old eyes. The original Burning Valley was one of the top forces in the mainland because of his reasons. However, with his departure, there was no strong fighting emperor, and the loneliness of Zhongmen was naturally normal. Speaking, all these were expected by him, but he hadn't mentioned it for many years. Now when I think of it, I will feel a little helpless. I really didn't expect that the little guy I held in my arms would appear in front of me again after thousands of years. It's amazing to think of it. Fate is the word. There is no reason to explain that the younger generation can meet the elder again. It's just a fluke. If Xiao Yang didn't want to get the inner milk marrow this time, I'm afraid the younger generation wouldn't easily recognize the elder, but... At the end of the sentence, Xiao Xian turned his eyes back to the skeleton, and there was a lonely color in his eyes. Although I saw the elder again, his father has. Xiao Yao, I really don't dare to think that after thousands of years, someone in the Xiao family can come here again, and it's still your son. If you can feel his arrival, you will be happy. Facing the old friends of the past, the ancestor of Burning the Sky has some water flowing in his eyes. He is old and affectionate. He can't stand the touch of the past years. Now when he thinks about it, he even chokes his voice when he speaks. Looking at the scene in front of Xiao Yang, he couldn't help feeling. I don't know whether his children can come to this stormy continent many years later. If they come, where should they be? What appearance and attitude should they greet them? Everything is unknown. Let's leave the future to tomorrow. Xiao Xian, have you ever met a force called Ghost Hall along the way? At this time, the words of the burning father pulled the lost Xiao Yang back in an instant, together with the look on their faces. Why, the elder also contacted them? Well, it seems that you should also know about the Ghost Hall. According to my observation, this Ghost Hall is actually the Soul family. Seeing the expression on Xiao Yang's face, Burning Father nodded slowly. They had already affirmed this, but then Burning Father shocked them again. Xiao Xian, do you know that your father Xiao Yarou died at the hand of the Ghost Hall? Some gloomy words fell in their ears like a bolt from the blue. All the thoughts in their hearts suddenly solidified at this moment, and even their heartbeat seemed to stagnate for a moment. What followed was the emotion of shock and anger. They could not imagine that Xiao Yang was not the only one persecuted by the Ghost Hall. Even the ancestors of the Xiao family were killed by the Ghost Hall. No matter what had happened or what happened in the world, they had clearly told Xiao Yang that the Ghost Hall had formed an immortal situation with his Xiao family thousands of years ago. From now on, everyone in the Ghost Hall will be eliminated. His fists were clenched slowly under his sleeve robe. At the same time, the implicit determination to kill also sounded in the bottom of his heart. Then, the Burning Father explained what had happened that year roughly to the two people in front of him. Although times have changed, the old man can remember what happened at the beginning. When they heard it in their ears, they both felt surprised and even couldn't figure out the fundamental reason why it happened. It was not until Xiao Yang thought of something placed in his ring that he was touched again. After coming out of the cave, Xiao Yang and the ancestor of Burning Heaven returned to the main hall of Burning Valley. Luo Jin and others have been waiting here. The eldest elder Li Chengxiu accompanied the party. Perhaps because of Luo Jin's relationship, the atmosphere on the field is not so tense. After all, we have to face the strong ones at the level of Yuan Huang. No one can look relaxed here. When they saw Xiao Yang coming back, especially when the people at the scene noticed the casual smile from the corners of their mouths, they all understood that the matter of the milk pulp of the Earth's heart had been solved. In this way, the stone hanging on the head of Xiao Yixian and others also fell, and even the tense mood in their hearts could be relaxed. When everyone took their seats, it was inevitable to greet each other. What surprised everyone most was that the relationship between Shaotian Laozu and Xiao Yang seemed to progress very quickly. The warm smile didn't seem to be a fake at all. Even Li Chengxiu, who knew Shaotian Laozu best, couldn't help but wonder, what did Xiao Yang do to make the Valley Master so kind to him? However, these are not important anymore. As long as we see that Xiao Yang has a good relationship with his Burning Valley, all this is good news for Burning Valley. Besides, now we have got the Earth's heart milk pulp, which is even more good news. After a laugh, Xiao Yang and his party, led by the elder Li Chengxiu, were arranged to live in a hollow garden in the Burning Valley. Usually, only the elders of the Burning Valley can stay here, but now they have become the new residents of Xiao Yang and others. Next, this party will stay in the Burning Valley for a while. It was getting dark, and the party sat around the table in the room. Xiao Yang roughly explained what happened in the cave during the day. Several people present heard about it, and their faces couldn't help showing their brilliance. As for the matter of Xiao Yarou's bones, Xiao Yang didn't disclose it. The rest of the party didn't think much except Luo Jin and Bai Hua. If something happens to Xiao Yang this time, people will naturally be concerned about it. But since he has a friendly relationship with the ancestor of Burning the Sky, several people will not think much. I'm afraid that only the cautious Luo Jin and Bai Hua will have such doubts. However, Xiao Yang doesn't want to talk more, and they naturally won't ask more questions. After that, they go back to their rooms. Back in the bedroom, Xiao Yang didn't sleep, but sat on the bed, ready to practice. After the first battle with Qin Yang, Xiao Yang has clearly realized that his cultivation is only a line away from the middle of returning to the source territory. Now it's the right time to break through. Although he was a little busy during the day, Xiao Yang felt happy at the thought of finding the breast marrow of the Earth's heart, and his spirit was much relaxed. Most importantly, they also recognized the door with the Burning Father. In this way, Xiao Yang had a real reliance in this extremely southern land. Of course, he also knew that everything cannot rely solely on external forces. Only what is really held in his own hands can belong to him. Therefore, since he can take the opportunity to break through at this time, Xiao Yang naturally wants to grasp it firmly. A quarter of an hour later, when Xiao Yang's inner mood was calm and the whole person's breath relaxed, the burning dew skill in his body began to work again. As soon as the burning formula was operated, the endless energy of heaven and earth suddenly surged up between the heaven and earth in the other garden. In the dark night sky, the energy of heaven and earth continuously condensed and changed, and then an invisible energy vortex condensed over Xiao Yang's room, sucking all the majestic and complex source gases in the heaven and earth, after Xiao Yang's body and the refining of different fire, and then running along the practice route of burning dew for a week. Finally, it is condensed into a crystal drop of energy and then merged into the cyclone space. At night, in an attic, Qin Yang's figure was Wei however Li. He recalled the war with Xiao Yang. Up to now, he still felt extremely hard. Although his cultivation was above Xiao Yang, the latter's combat power had to win him. This alone made him unable to easily let go. Hihi, still want to fight with Xiao Yang? Suddenly, a faint old voice came from Qin Yang's ear. When he turned his head, the elder of Burning Valley Shenhua was standing aside, and a pair of bright eyes were staring at him, deep and sharp. Teacher, Xiao Yang is stronger than I thought. I am convinced of my defeat. Oh, so. Smell speech, Shenhua just a faint reply, did not spit out any comfort words because of the former's words. So I will practice harder, and I will find him again. There is still a battle between me and him. This is the agreement between me and him. Qin Yang smiled. There was a little fanaticism in the depths of his eyes. It seemed that he couldn't wait for that day. At this time, the two masters and disciples found something strange on the mountain. That's. As soon as his eyes coagulated, Qin Yang was surprised. Looking at the breath, it was Xiao Yang undoubtedly. I remember that instead of telling Xiao Yantsai during the war that his accomplishments had improved the day before yesterday, I didn't expect to break through so soon. Hey, boy, I'm afraid the only gap between you and your cultivation will be made up by him soon. Shenhua on one side saw this, but he laughed jokingly. Qin Yang heard that Quan should be the battle document issued to him by Xiao Yang in silence. The next day. At noon, Xiao Yixian and others had already awakened and waited quietly outside the door where Xiao Yang was located. Until the energy between heaven and earth gradually subsided, people's eyes gathered on the door where Xiao Yang was located. With the door opened, the familiar figure was bathed in the sun again. Breakthrough? Well, return to the middle of the source territory. With a slight smile, Xiao Yang stepped forward and drank the tea handed over by Luo Jin, smiling. In that case, let's go too. People are in a hurry. He nodded. Luo Jin got up from his chair, patted Xiao Yang on the shoulder, and was ready to go to the courtyard. The others shrugged and were ready to keep up. Only the little doctor came to Xiao Yang. Seeing the latter's confused expression, he couldn't help laughing and said, "It's the elder of the Burning Valley who invited you to the main hall this morning. It seems that there's something wrong, but you didn't come out, so you pushed it off temporarily. However, the elder also said it's not urgent. When you come out, we'll just go there again." Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang realized that he was just curious. Why did Li Chengshu come to them early in the morning? Along the route of the day before yesterday, Xiao Yang and his party walked towards the main hall of the sect gate of the Burning Valley. On the way, they met many disciples of the Burning Valley. Compared with a few days ago, when many disciples looked at Xiao Yang and his party, there was not only fear but also awe in their eyes. That was the privilege of the strong. For them, among Xiao Yang and his party, Xiao Yang is a strong man. With enough strength, Xiao Yang has won a place in the hearts of these disciples. Of course, in addition, naturally, many people were moved by the beautiful little medical immortals like Epiphyllum in this group. Along the way, it attracted many male disciples of Burning Valley to follow their eyes, which also led to the expression of dryness and anger on the pretty face of many female sex disciples. Coupled with the source gas of fire attribute, it was like a little pepper about to explode. Soon, the party came to yesterday's hall. At this time, Someone was waiting outside the hall. It was clear that they had greeted Xiao Yang and his party long ago. Before they stepped into the hall, a person came out of the front. When Xiao Yang raised his eyes, his face was stunned. There was no doubt that Qin Yang was in front of him. When they met, they didn't say anything, but their eyes hadn't separated for a long time. They looked like the tip of a needle to the wheat awn, which made people afraid that the two guys would fight again. After what happened before, everyone knows the consequences of the real fight between the two guys. I'm afraid no one can easily resist the scene except the big elder and the valley leader in the valley. After Xiao Yang and his party entered the hall, the two bodyguards at the door looked at each other and breathed out a long breath. Their emotions tightened up because of the scene just now also relaxed. After several people entered the hall, the elder Li Chengxiu and the burning father were in the hall at this time. When they saw the arrival of Xiao Yang and his party, the smile on their faces suddenly became rich and smiled at each other. Then, they invited Xiao Yang and others to sit down. Hehe, Xiao Yang is really gifted. However, he can improve his accomplishments with his kung fu overnight. I can't catch up with him. Aware that Xiao Yang's breath was much thicker than the day before, Li Chengxiu couldn't help but give a sigh of praise. The latter also hugged his fist and arched his hand when he heard the speech. Just a fluke. Ha, there are so many flukes in the world. Since we have made a breakthrough, it is natural. Xiao Yangyu is too modest. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang smiled and stopped pestering about this issue. Instead, he looked at the burning old ancestor and asked the purpose of inviting them to come. Well, actually, it's not a big deal for you. Please come. I just hope to invite you to become the honorary elder of my burning valley. As soon as this remark came out, Xiao Yang and others were stunned. Even Luo Jin looked suspiciously at the burning father on the seat and asked curiously, "Senior, as far as I know, it seems that you are going to become an honorary elder of Burning Valley. Your accomplishments should at least be above the Source King, but... the rules are set by people. Although you are still shallow in cultivation, I can see that you are the leaders of the younger generation. It's only a matter of time to become the Source King. I also hope to burn Yengu and recruit more talents for me. Of course, after becoming an honorary elder, the resources in the valley can be used by you and your identity is the same. Freedom is just a name." A smile fell, but the party didn't immediately agree to the moving job, but turned their eyes to Xiao Yang and waited for his resolution. At the same time, the eyes of Li Chengxiu and Burning Father also fell on Xiao Yang. Although they didn't say anything, it can be seen from this scene that Xiao Yang is the backbone of this group. Whether they agree to become this honorary elder depends on Xiao Yang's meaning. For this layer, the ancestor of Burning the Sky is confident. Without much hesitation, Xiao Yangchao nodded to the crowd, and the others agreed to the invitation of Burning the Sky. Among the group, Ju Tai did not choose to join the alliance because of his identity with Muling Herbalist, followed by Luo Jin. The two people on his seat already know his identity, so there is no need to say more. Therefore, after calculation, only Xiao Yang, Shaoyixian, White Birch and Tongtian Giant Ape finally chose to join Fenyan Valley to become Rongyu Elder. After that, under the sign of the Burning Father, the Elder invited the other 6 people to leave, leaving only Xiao Yang and the Burning Father in the hall. "Elder, I think there's another reason why you invited us to become honorary elders today." Seeing others leaving, Xiao Yang looked back at the burning old ancestor and asked with a smile, "Why? Otherwise, I won't stay alone and let the elder ask them to leave." Xiao Yang smiled. From the moment he heard that the Burning Father invited them, he vaguely felt that it was unusual. At this moment, he was sure of his guess. Judging from Xiao Yang's performance in the sect of Burning Valley, many people in the outside world should already know about him. Now, once the news that others stay in Burning Valley and become honorary elders comes out, it will certainly attract many forces to join Burning Valley, so as to strengthen their own strength. This is the plan of Burning the Sky. Put aside the relationship between him and the old guy, I'm afraid he will do so even as a pure stranger. Alas, you are very old-fashioned. A little embarrassed and softly praised, and soon the old man nodded and said, I received a message last night that ghosts were found in the territory of Tiangui sect and one Scorpion sect. If I didn't expect it to be bad, it should be the person in the ghost hall. Ghost temple. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed falsely, a sharp color flashed in his eyes, and whispered in his mouth. As far as I know, in recent years, it seems that people in the ghost hall often have contact with Tiangui sect. They try to control the whole extreme south by the hand of Tiangui sect. They want to burn me and swallow the burning valley. I'm afraid it's more than that. Just as the voice in the mouth of the burning father fell, Xiao Yang shook his head slightly, and then made a sound. When the former heard the speech, his face immediately solidified, and his sight immediately fell on Xiao Yang. When I was in the southwest border, my younger generation met the people of Tian Puppet sect. They jointly expanded and annexed the forces in the southwest border. Now a large area of the southwest border has become their command. As soon as he said this, the burning father immediately raised his eyebrows and showed surprise on his face. He has lived in the extreme south for a long time. He has not yet understood many things in the southern region, but he can't imagine that this kind of thing has happened. It seems that the momentum of the other party is much faster than he imagined. This video will end here.